I'm Jeff Lewis, and I've been practicing law in California since 1996. I frequently appear on news programs to discuss the First Amendment, Supreme Court decisions, appellate law, and privacy issues. Here's a sampling of my appearances.
Happy to have you on again. Thank you so much for your expertise. What are the main takeaways, and what do you think the likelihood is that this Supreme Court will uphold the Mississippi law?
Well, what I was listening for today was some indication that any one of the six conservative justices was going to give some respect to the precedent of Roe v. Wade. And I didn't hear any hints or any questions from those six justices that suggest they're going to affirm Roe v. Wade. That's the biggest takeaway.
Could you give us a fairly quick lesson in constitutional law and what that means and how that was being treated by her in this question?
The doctrine of stare decisis is that Supreme Court decisions mean something, regardless of who the actual justices are occupying those 9 seats, that it should mean something, and you shouldn't come back and question and re-question cases just because you disagree with them.
It's a profoundly important case, not only in terms of abortion rights and how it impacts women, but also the same logic that's being used to attack this Roe v. Wade case could be used to attack other cases that may not explicitly have roots in the Constitution, such as gun rights in the Heller case and other cases. So this case is going to affect a large swath of the United States population.
Personally, I will be installing the cell phone apps that allow you to track infections. The other applications concern me, the ones that can track movements and large groups.
And are there some safeguards that could be put in place that would make you feel better?
You have to keep your eye on the applications as they evolve. When you first install it, it may do one thing, but it may later evolve when you do updates to the software. So that's the most important thing, is understand how the software has evolved.
In a complaint filed at a court in Los Angeles, Prince Harry and Meghan claimed the pictures were an invasion of his privacy.
Under California law, not only is it against the law to take these pictures, but it's against the law to buy or sell these pictures. And once they find out who is trying to buy or sell these pictures, then they'll seek a restraining order.
You absolutely have read the tea leaves correctly. This is going to be a 6-3 vote along conservative and liberal lines. And I see the jury's verdict imposing the death penalty being reinstated. I personally was not convinced by the government attorney's response to that line of questioning, which is, well, different lower standards apply to search warrants than you do have applied to admissibility of evidence in a death penalty case. I myself would have given the question to a jury.
How would you imagine the Supreme Court adjudicating this?
Well, in short, the president would lose. I would expect if the conservative majority stuck their conservative principles, they would apply the 10th Amendment and find that this is an area reserved for the states to act.
What would be the businesses' legal mechanisms here? Who would they sue? Would they sue the governor? How do you think that would look?
I would expect if that conflict arises to see many lawsuits filed, either against the governor or the president or both, to have a judge weigh in on this. But keep in mind, we're not going to be shut in forever, and it's possible the shutdown will be lifted long before a judge actually rules on the legality. Down will be tension between state and federal government.
So how could the federal government use an interstate commerce clause, perhaps, to regulate some of these quarantine orders?
Yeah, the key would be for Congress to actually act and implement a law invoking the Commerce Clause, and thereby empowering itself and perhaps by extension the president to regulate in the areas of interstate commerce, interstate travel, and reopening the economy.
Twitter's a private company. They're not the government. And Twitter can flip the switch and turn on or off if anybody violates their terms of service.
Lewis says to keep in mind, a lawmaker cannot block a follower if they disagree with the follower's views.
It's ironic that if somebody follows a politician and they get blocked, that's an absolute violation of the follower's First Amendment rights, because the courts recognize that as to voters, First Amendment protects Twitter and Facebook as a public forum, and you have a right to be heard there and not be blocked.